Hi there. My name's Kenorah, and with me today I have ins0mnia.
Hello.
And on commentary we have Artsy Freak and Pancake.
Hey, I'm Artsy.
Hi, I'm Pancake.
And today we have for you a Hollow Knight race. But it's not quite any Hollow Knight race. It's going to be, in fact, a randomizer. Artsy and Pancake are going to be explaining what items are and aren't going to be randomized. But I think we will just get going right away, shall we?
Yep, do we want to load in, get a countdown, and can get going?
Yeah, sounds good. So we'll load in.
So both of our runners are loading into King's Pass just so we can make sure that the seed hasn't broken and they're both in the right thing.
Alright, looks good.
Yep.
Ready when you are.
Ready to go.
Just let's get it going. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, and they are off. And so at this point, both of our runners are going to be deafened because this is a rando race, so we don't want to hear spoilers about where things are and are not. So this is a Hollow Knight true ending randomizer race, so we are going to be going for the true ending, the Radiance ending. And before we get into talking about some of the settings that we're running with, Pancake, can you talk a little bit about what the goal of true ending is going to be? What our runners are going to be trying to accomplish.
I can do that. Okay, so if any of you are familiar with Hollow Knight, there are a lot of different endings, and there's the base any % ending where you go into the Black Egg Temple and fight and defeat the Hollow Knight. But we are not going to be doing that ending. We are doing the Dream No More ending, or as it's referred to, true ending in the speedrunning community, which is where you have to collect the parts of the white fragments to get King Soul and then Void Heart, and then enter the dream of the Hollow Knight and fight the Radiance, which is the true final boss of the game. So in order to get to that point, we are going to need to see the 3 Dreamers you need to unlock the Black Egg Temple in the first place, and 3 copies of white fragment pieces that will form Void Heart.
Yep. And also the Dream Nail in order to get into the mind of the Hollow Knight to fight the Radiance.
Yes, that is also necessary.
So this, as we mentioned, it's a randomizer. So Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania. There's lots of stuff all around the map that you can get, and we've taken all those things and we've shuffled them around. So all of the normal sort of abilities, spells, stuff like that have been shuffled around, as well as items like charms and relics. We've also randomized the geo that you get when you fight a boss, and the essence that you get from fighting certain upgraded bosses called Dream Bosses and Warrior Dreams. And as well as that, we're running with Soul Totems and Lifeblood Cocoons randomized. So sometimes you'll see someone pick up a check and their soul meter will fill up, or they'll get a lot of extra blue masks, and that's what those are. As well as one of my favorite settings, randomized charm notches. So charms are these items that sort of upgrade or change certain aspects of the player character, the knight. And they each have a number of notches that they cost to put on, and you have a certain number of notches. And so we are running with the cost of the charms randomized, and so that will allow for some useless charms that will cost like 5 or 6 notches, and some really great powerful charms that are only cost like 0 or 1. And so we'll get to see some really funky builds from our charms because of that.
Yeah, it can really spice up your Hollow Knight gameplay.
Yeah. Definitely is going to let you see some charms that you probably don't see if you're normally just watching regular Hollow Knight speedrun races. And this run is being done with easy settings, so there are no tricky skips that are going to be required of the runner. Some of them may choose to do those for fun or just to see what's on the other side of that skip. but the logic of the game will not require them to do any super difficult skips like that.
Yeah.
So far, we haven't gotten much interesting.
Yeah, the most I've seen of note is looking at grub checks. There was a King's Brand pickup and also Isma's tier, which I believe were both 7 grubs, so those aren't particularly expensive.
Yeah.
King's Brand giving Abyss access, which will open up a few checks, and Isma's tier is just a nice. It's not the best, but it'll open up some opportunities and make it so you might not have to do some potential skips to get to areas.
Yeah, so Isma's tier gives you the ability to swim in acid, which you can see, I think, Kenorah heading over there, over to an area that has some acid now. That's the green water that you don't want to land in until you have that tier. For those familiar with the new Randomiser beta, we are not running with swim randomized, so our knight can swim in normal blue water. We have not given the knight the inability to swim, and therefore drown whenever we try to go anywhere with water.
Yeah, so it's a little funky to not be able to swim at the start. It adds a bit extra that we decided wasn't really necessary in this randomizer run. Along with other things we did not consider necessary, we did not randomize Geo-Rocks just because it adds so many checks that it makes the runtime incredibly variable. It could go super quickly or it could take incredibly long, and we want to, well, it is, we can't have an exact estimate. It's nice to have a more narrow range of potential times. We also did not randomize lore tablets because picking up something and it's just text is just the worst. And didn't randomize White Palace Soul Totems because it might force runners to go into Path of Pain, and we don't want that. Meanwhile, we have a Vengeful Spirit pickup.
Yeah, so ins0mnia has just picked up Vengeful Spirit as our first spell, and in a normal progression of the game, that would also be the first spell that we pick up. So right now, Rando's being not necessarily vanilla in where things are located, but vanilla in the order that we're getting things. So I guess now is a good time to talk about the spells that we'll be seeing.
Yeah, that would be a good. All right, so there are 3 base spells in Hollow Knight: a side spell, Fireball, Vengeful Spirit, and there's an up spell, Howling Wraiths, and a down spell, Desolate Dive. And then each one of those spells also has an upgrade, which makes the ability stronger. And they're just generally useful for dealing damage, but there's also some use, like Vengeful Spirit, for example, is what we call a Balder killer, which if you've played Hollow Knight, you've seen the big tanky enemies that hide in their shell when you get close to them are called Balders, and you need some form of distanced damage to kill them, which in the base game is normally Vengeful Spirit, which we've seen here. So that'll allow access to Green Path and a couple other things.
Yeah, and our down spell will also allow us to break through some breakable floors to gain access to some areas. So that's also a spell that both runners will be wanting to see. And then they're definitely going to be wanting to find the up spell Race and its upgrade Shriek, because it is the most powerful spell in the game. It does tons of damage.
It's not going to do much for progression, but it's just nice to be strong.
And since we are going for the true ending, we're gonna have to be fighting the Radiant, in which case having Shriek is really nice. So we did see there ins0mnia doing a little bit of a skip, yeah. So doing a fireball skip to and 620 geo
for 1
for
geo.
the cost of 1 geo. Pancake, I don't know if you know this about me, but I am an accountant, and I can tell you, as certified accountant advice, that paying 1 money for 620 money is a good deal.
I'll have to take that advice to heart. Let's see. Kenorah opting, instead of doing a fireball skip, to set up a shade skip to presumably for the same purpose.
Yeah. So, I mentioned earlier that we're running on the easy mode and that skips aren't required. So the logic of the game is not going to force the runners to do a skip to get up to that ledge there to see the items that are in Salubra's shop. But it's always great to be able to check items in a shop as soon as you can, because there's so many things there. And so it's really good to be able to get an idea of what is or isn't there. So that's why both of our runners opted to do a little bit of more difficult maneuvering.
Also, there's the advantage of the bench right next to Salubra, and during randomizers we play with a mod called bench warp, which allows us to warp to any bench we previously sat on, which is necessary because otherwise you can get to positions where you're just stuck. Like especially if you take the stag to Dirtmouth, which you don't have a way out of, and if you didn't have another stag station, that could be bad.
Because stags are also randomized in this random race, and the way that works is that you can, any stag station that you find yourself at, you can leave from, but you cannot take a stag to a station unless you have picked up and unlocked that stag station. So when we stag to Dirtmouth, we don't have the Dirtmouth stag yet, and so we are stuck in that room unless we bench warp out of there.
Meanwhile, I'd like to comment, we have free deep focus from False Night Chest.
It is very nice. Deep focus is a charm that the focus ability is what allows us to heal. It costs about a third, not about, exactly, a third of our soul meter to heal 1 mask. Deep focus allows you to heal 2 masks for the cost of a third of the soul meter, but it does slow down your healing ability. We also got quick focus earlier for a cost of 2, which would let you heal quicker, and when you combine the 2 together, you get 2 masks healed at the same speed as you would normally get 1.
And yes, for the person asking in chat, we do have dupe major items on.
Yeah. So there is a setting in Randomiser that for certain very important items like spells, mobility, the white fragment that allows us to get into the final version of the fight. There are 2 versions of those around the map to increase your odds of seeing it. And then we also got to see there Kenorah picking up Desolate Dive from the Soul Totem above Myla. So that's the down spell we were talking about.
Yes, it's very useful to have right now. It's has some particular use, like oh, and there's Mothwing Cloak. That's pretty nice to see.
Very nice.
Dash is just, it's a dash. It's obviously good. It gives you more mobility sideways.
Yeah,
and
there are
allows a lot of access to places.
Yeah, it allows access to places. It means you're able to move around the map faster, and it's very important during some boss fights to be able to just evade attacks and get where you need to be.
It's a dash. It's obviously good. And then Desolate Dive, some areas in particular, like Soul Sanctum in the City of Tears, are very heavy with their downspell checks, so it's an area you don't typically go to until you have it, but seeing it early means that's a viable option, no matter what.
We see ins0mnia is now checking out the Soul Totems on the west side of the Forgotten Crossroads near Malek, which Kenorah picked up earlier. And so Kenorah is now fighting the False Knight, and then we'll be going to Ancestral Mound, where ins0mnia just wrapped up in a little bit ago.
So we're seeing the same checks, but not necessarily in the same
in a different order. Yep. If you're used to watching any percent, you will have not seen a fight with this big boy completed, but actually completing that fight does lead to 2 different checks, the city crest that he drops and a geo chest, so it's very useful. Meanwhile, ins0mnia is beating up on Malek, but having to do so without dash, which does definitely make that fight more difficult.
Getting rewarded with a Wanderer's Journal, which not exactly the best payoff.
Not what I would call a reward.
So ins0mnia getting the Distant Village tag from Zelda, that opens up, just being able to go to an area that you wouldn't be otherwise able to go to is going to open up a bunch more checks.
Yeah, as well as the check that is located at that stag station where normally you would get that stag station.
Which is a simple key, which could be useful.
Yeah, so there are 4 simple keys in the game. One of them doesn't give us any checks. The one that goes to Gigi's hut. Gigi is an NPC who you can trade rancid eggs to get your shade back. Because after you die, you have to go kill your shade and get all your geo back. The other 3 simple keys all do lead to checks. One of them, you only get 1 in the junk pit, where God Tuner would be. The 2 more useful ones are having access to the royal waterways underneath the City of Tears, and then to a smaller area in the City of Tears called the Pleasure House. So with 1 simple key, the game will actually only let you go into royal waterways, though. And we see that ins0mnia has decided to head to Deep Nest, warning for spiders, for anyone who that bothers, and check out the
Wow,
beast
that
den.
paid off. Resting ground stag. It's going to get very early right side access.
So the resting grounds is an area to the east of the Forgotten Crossroads that has several checks in it. However, I don't think ins0mnia has picked up the Desolate Dive yet, so that's actually not going to give access to the City of Tears, because you need to either come in from the Blue Lake, which is a skip above the hut where we bought the 620 geo from Salupa earlier, or do a dive through a breakable floor.
Meanwhile, looks like Kenorah is setting up a shade skip
To get to to
getting
get to
to
this
the
math shard.
math shard.
Yeah. I was about to say to get to City of Tears, but we have the Sluber bench, so it wouldn't make any sense to be setting up that trade skip from that bench. Earlier, a little bit ago, when ins0mnia was at the resting grounds, you might have seen him open up the inventory while he was falling, which is a trick that allows you to basically it uncaps your fall rate so you can fall faster. Now, for those of you familiar with Hollow Knight, you may be wondering, but we're running on patch 1432, which doesn't allow you to open up your inventory in midair. What's going on? But the Randomiser mod includes some quality of life settings, or the quality of life mod that enables things like those inventory drops that are a part of the 1221 patch, which has a few different things that speedrunners really like.
Okay, so a couple notable things. For 637 essence, you can get a 1-cost Shaman Stone, which is going to be incredibly powerful, assuming you can get it. And the Dream Tree and Resting Grounds has Lurian, one of the dreamers we need to access the endgame. So, getting Dream Nail will be good.
And 637 essence isn't actually going to be that much. I mentioned earlier that we have the essence drops randomized, and so you can very easily, pick up a random check and get 300 essence for it. So now, if the seed's mean, it might take a while to get to 637 essence, but we could also get there late. And there's the other Desolate Dive.
There's another dive. Meanwhile, it looks like Kenorah only checking the one the check at the stag station before leaving Distant Village, so not going to see the dive there to get Descending Dark, unfortunately.
Yeah. So the way the certain items like the spells in Randomiser work is that, so in the base game you get obviously the lower level spell and then you get the upgraded spell. And the way the Randomiser is set up is those items have a progression. So even if you get the item named Descending Dark, if you get it first, that will be your Desolate Dive. And then the second item you get will become your Descending Dark. So if Kenorah had grabbed that Soul Totem that we saw ins0mnia get dive from, that would have upgraded Kenorah's dive into Descending Dark, and Kenorah would have a very powerful spell.
Yeah, and unfortunately, because Kenorah didn't check Beast Den, they're also not getting the resting grounds access that ins0mnia has, which combined with that dive is going to really open up the map.
Yeah.
Chance for a quick donation?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Rightio. We have $10 from Benjamin, which was the runner from the last two runs. Donating for that one trick that I missed in Girls und Panzer. Throw this towards the world's hardest game.
Thank you very much for that. There we go. Kenorah was looking to have some difficulties there with that nail master, but was finally able to exit out. I did see a question in chat. So when you find a duplicate copy of an item that you already have, and it's not something that you can upgrade, like the spells, you get 300 geo for that. So you get a decent amount of geo when you find those duplicate items.
Probably won't matter too much late game, but if you end up getting a lot of the same copy of something earlier on, it's nice to have that little cash infusion.
Yep. And now we've seen that since ins0mnia did get that dive, they are headed into the City of Tears. They are on the east side of the City of Tears, which is, for those who watch Hollow Knight speedruns, you know that the progression of the game normally has you come in via the west, but speedrunners always want to come in from the east if they can, because it just opens up more parts of the city faster.
Yeah. Right side access early in a randomizer is always going to be valuable. It just opens up so many checks.
Yeah.
Oh, there is Mantis Claw for Kenorah, really paying off to pick up that Stag Nest Stag, because wall climb gives you a lot of mobility.
Our wall climb and wall jump is the piece that opens up the most map of all the mobility.
And that's Shade Soul too. Wow. This is proving to be a very fruitful visit.
So Shade Soul is that upgraded version of the Fireball spell that just does way more damage.
Oh, and the Howling Cliffs map is in Howling Cliffs. That doesn't usually happen. Not that we care about maps.
We do not care about maps at all. They are pretty much useless.
These runners are good at Hollow Knight, and they are familiar with the map. They do not need a map. They know where they're going.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact that, you know, even if you decide that you do care about the maps in a rando, you're unlikely to have the maps for the area you're in, so...
And Saving Zode gives 1 cost Unbreakable Strength, unfortunately meaning that Saving Zode is a good decision, which you hate to see.
Very disappointing when that happened. So the UI there did say Fragile Strength, so there are 3 charms in the game that when you first get them, if you die, they break, but you can upgrade them to be unbreakable. And Randomiser just gives them to you as they will be unbreakable from the start. And Unbreakable Strength is very powerful.
We see Crystal Heart. That is a little bit extra mobility. Nothing crazy, but it's nice to have. Yeah.
It gives you a dash that basically lets you yeet yourself across the map horizontally.
Kenorah taking a bench and putting on strength, and seeing a soul refill as the stag, probably not what they wanted. And some people might be confused why Kenorah is going back to Crossroads. I think you're about to see in a second. And meanwhile, ins0mnia talking to Hornet outside of the city, despite not encountering Hornet before. Anyway,
very weird. Hornet seems to already know us, and yet we've never met her. But
yeah. There goes Milo.
Sometimes
Bye, Milo.
You just gotta do what you gotta do.
You guys
for those
chose the wrong donation incentive last time, so took matters into our own hands.
During ins0mnia's all skills speedrun earlier, there was a donation incentive for Save or Kill Mila, and unfortunately, the donations at the very last minute came in for Mila, so we're saving Mila. So we're rectifying this here, and once we get heart, we are doing the thing that actually saves Mila, which is, of course, killing her. But we also, I
Kenorah
think,
has
just
monarch
saw...
wings now.
Yeah.
That is
So Monarch Wings is
all
our double
vertical
jump
mobility.
ability. Yep. There are... The Kenorah is still missing, I think, Isma's Tear and the Shade Cloak.
But they're
there
going
is
to pick
not
up
a...
Isma's Tear right here.
Yep. So there's not a whole lot of map that Kenorah currently can't access, which is both good and bad in rando. I mean, obviously you want to have access to map because who knows where things can be, but also when you suddenly have access to the entire map, it can be a little bit overwhelming because
Yeah,
there's
it's hard to know where to go.
a lot of stuff available.
There's so many things available, and it means like when we talk about the logical progression that the randomizer creates, when it's more narrow, it might take a while, but it also means that you have a general idea of where to go. But in this case, when you get everything early, the next path could be in so many different places.
Yep.
I always see ins0mnia Waterways, everyone's favorite location.
Luckily, we currently we have the game sound from Kenorah and not ins0mnia, so I mean, Waterways without Waterways noises isn't near as bad.
Unfortunately, the commentators do have Waterways noises.
Oh, I just muted ins0mnia stream, so I don't.
Smart move. But yeah, after that brief detour from Kenorah to do justice, now going back to Green Path.
I see a question in chat. I believe the cost of Dashmaster was 3, which is 1 more than Dashmaster normally is. Normally 2, so not great. But not as bad as, like, say, a 5 cost Wayward Compass. ins0mnia did just pick up a Charm Notch, which is always great to give yourself more notches for more charms. Along with picking up some charm notches from checks, we also have so the charm notches that you would normally buy from Zalura once you reached a certain amount of charms, like 8 or 15, I think. Those charm notches are just awarded to you automatically once you have the requisite number of charms in rando. So picking up charms, even if you don't want to wear them, is good because it gets you more charms, and more charms get you more notches.
Which I believe Kenorah has done some of, so they also have an extra charm notch despite not picking one up, if I remember correctly. Kenorah checking the shape of check under the lake at the edge of Green Path.
Go see the slug goddess.
See if it is anything fruitful. So far, not too much we've seen in Waterways. We did see a 5-cost Grubberfly's Elegy, which I would not use.
Yeah, not worth. Grubberfly's Elegy, when you are at full health, gives you a sort of ranged shockwave that comes off from your nail slash that does, I believe, 50% of your normal nail damage. Both of our runners currently running with an unupgraded nail that does 5 damage, so 50% of that is... I'm not sure if the game makes it 2 or 3, but it's not a lot, is the point. And for more notches than it does damage, it is probably not worth.
Yeah, definitely not. And there is a white fragment for ins0mnia, proving that Waterways did actually have something fruitful after all.
Yeah, so as much as Kenorah currently has way more mobility and spells than ins0mnia does, mobility and spells, while nice, are not actually needed for the true ending. So you could definitely get the case where one runner has lots of mobility and is a much more powerful character, but the other runner is the one with the ability to actually go in and fight the Radiant.
And
So we
Somni is
see how
heading
things-
to Howling Cliffs, so is going to be picking up the around the similar level of progression at this point. So
Yeah.
going to certainly level the playing field in that regard. We got a
Yeah.
2-notch Mark of Pride from Shio. It's pretty useful.
I believe
Just gives some
Somnia still
extra nail
doesn't have
range.
dash from that was Crossroads.
Yes. And Wings is also Crossroads. It requires Claw, which
Yeah.
we'll presumably see here.
But dash is one of those items that because we have duplicate items enabled and because it's one of the items that can be upgraded, there's actually 4 dashes hiding around the map. There's a Mothwing Cloak, a duplicate of the Mothwing Cloak, and then a Shade Cloak, and a duplicate of the Shade Cloak, and finding any one of those will give you dash.
300 essence there for Kenorah. That's a decent bit of the way towards getting that Shaman Stone, although Kenorah does not know about that yet.
Or has not yet been to the rest. Given that they have Claw and Sea Dash, though, and Wings, they can, at this point, get into Resting Grounds the normal way. Well,
They can
Get
get
in-
pretty much anywhere
to that.
the normal way.
yeah. Yeah, they can... What I meant to say was they can take the shortcut above Salubra the normal way,
Right.
that the game intends you to take it. So they can get into Resting Grounds sort of whenever they want, and so it's just a matter of when they choose to go there.
Yeah, Kenorah has a lot of options. We'll see what they choose after. I assume they clear out as much of Green Path as they can.
Have time for a quick
Considering how much
donation?
they have. Yeah, go ahead.
$10 from Rose Garden. No comment on that one, but thank you for the $10 donation.
Well, thank you, Rose. And yeah, feel free to break in with donations anytime. The nature of a rando run is we don't know when interesting things are going to happen. So anytime's a good time.
Too easy.
You see,
And Somni's about to pick up Mantis Claw. Certainly
we
going
go.
to be happy about that one.
That's really nice. Somebody also now rocking 12 lifeblood masks.
It's a lot of lifeblood
so-
masks.
Normally in the base game, lifeblood cocoons will give you 2 or 3 lifeblood masks when you hit them. And then when you sit at a bench, you lose your lifeblood and the cocoon respawns and you can go whack it again. Because the nature of rando means that it doesn't respawn, you just get a lot more lifeblood when you pick it up. And there's that
Yeah.
Shade Soul. Oh, that was
Doing those
that was
same
sick.
things. That was very clean.
That was some crisp movement from Saki there
And
to
rewarded
get
with
a
that map.
Howling Cliffs map. Such clean movement should get a better reward. Thinking now.
Imagine if that was a mechanic in Randomiser. Play better and your drops are better.
That would be so cursed. I'd never get anything. Thus relying me to use skips that I don't have the ability to use.
Now we've got the best boss on our screen. No, we're just shredding
Hollow
him
Knight
with
version of
Shade
4
Soul.
kids in a trench coat.
And they're Somni also picking up the Unbreakable Strength. For those wondering, it says Fragile Strength, and it'll say Fragile Heart and Fragile Greed when those are picked up as well, but it is the Unbreakable version.
We don't want to have to. Although I guess actually with bench warp mod, it wouldn't actually be that hard to go warp back to Leg Eater whenever you needed to fix your fragile charm, but we're not gonna.
And Somni also picking up that Crystal Dash. I think may also be heading to that Stag Station.
Just picking up the check right here before grabbing the bench and losing all that lifeblood, and then warping over there presumably.
And as we saw from Kenorah, it is actually a good play to go back to Crossroads because there's a lot of checks. And there's Lumafly Lantern for Kenorah. At this point, I
Nice.
think they can just go anywhere.
There are a couple shade gates, but other than
Yeah,
that,
there are shade gates, but that's about it. Unless I am
Shade gates
forgetting
require
something. Perfectly
the
possible.
shade cloak upgrade to get into. Lantern is a light source that, as you can see here, is illuminating a room that was very dark. And the randomizer, the settings that we're on don't require you to do any dark rooms. And then there are certain dark rooms, like this one, where you, without the lantern, even if you do know how to navigate it, you cannot fight the boss that I'm guessing we're going to see Kenorah fight. Or no, they don't have Dream now.
No, they don't have Dream now.
But the thing that Kenorah can't do in the room right now, if Kenorah didn't have Lantern, they also wouldn't be able to do it. So,
right,
multiple ways to not do a thing that you can't see happening, which I'm sure was very clear to everyone.
Looking like Kenorah heading down to Fog Canyon, a place where you should not hit things.
Yeah. For anyone who's been playing Hollow Knight casually, the Umas, those big floating jellyfish, are not a challenge. The game isn't daring you. Just don't mess with the jellyfish. There's no need.
I'm sure no one is going to listen to any of that advice.
Probably not. Those jellyfish, when you hit them, do send a projectile at you quite quickly that will explode and do 2 masses of damage. It's not fun.
It's a lot of damage. Especially when you have 5 masks.
Yeah, neither of our runners have gotten a mask upgrade or a charm that gives them more mask. 5 health is not a lot, especially when you get into late game areas. Although, both of them have some speedrunning experience and so are used to it because other than the completion percentages, you're doing the entire game without any health upgrades, and even in the categories that go for full completion, you're not getting those mass shards until much later.
Kenorah picking up a 4-notch Hive Blood, which I'm going to say is not worth it. Hive Blood can be a useful charm when you're playing the game casually, especially in an area like the White Palace, which it'll
I'm going to
probably
disagree with
kill
you there, Pancake. Hive in Rando has one very, very good use, and that is in the hive.
That is true.
So,
that is
Hive
true.
Blood, along with sort of allowing your health to regenerate, makes the bees in the hive not angry at you and aggressive, which makes that area much friendlier to navigate. So, putting on a hive, getting Hive Blood before you get the hive is nice.
It is nice. But other than that, when it comes to its actual utility use, we're not going to be seeing that.
Yeah. We're getting a little low here, but is about to find a bench and also has a heal, or enough soul to heal.
Yeah, still though, if they touch an exploder, so it could be bad, but they get through fine.
Yep.
Arrive at Queen Station.
Here we see Willow, our favorite people-eating bug. By people, I mean other bugs, but bugs who are people.
They look people-esque.
Yes.
Sort of.
Oh, no, Kenorah.
That's a painful place to get hit.
Not that hard to just, do it again, but never fun to faceplant into thorns and have to start from the beginning twice.
That's a bit of a tilter. Making very sure they're on the right side there, and rewarded with 51 essence, which is actually potentially good, but again, Kenorah does not know that yet.
Kenorah doesn't know it yet.
There's been a lot of soul refills at the stag stations in this seed.
And I think we may be seeing Kenorah choosing to... Yep, it looks like Kenorah's going to be heading into the resting grounds via Blue Lake. So this shortcut here is used as a skip in most speedruns of Hollow Knight, but Kenorah just has the ability to use it the way the game wants you to.
So generally, the game wants you to get to that area a different way before you use that way. But
yep.
We're not here to play the game wants to be played.
No. We're Kenorah hitting a soul totem that's behind a breakable wall through the floor. which apparently had a grub in it. So that's where those disembodied grub sounds came from. ins0mnia now also having some face planting into Thorn's issues, so we're seeing a little bit of that from both runners.
Ooh, yep, that's a lot of thorns hitting.
Or just hopping impatiently, waiting for Seer to show up and lead the way. And because Kenorah has C-dash at this point, you can see this strat where we just yeet ourselves across this area and don't have to deal with hopping around the platforms.
Platforming is hard. It's better to not do it. Rewarded with an egg. Offered a nice egg in trying time.
We're about to see that really nice low-cost shaman stone. Doesn't quite have enough essence at this point to get it, but probably will soon.
And presumably they will also see the Dreamer tied to the Whispering Root.
The Dream Tree. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm seeing some questions about where the dash was. Yeah, so there are actually 4 pickups that will give you dash located in this area. In the map. But the one that Kenorah picked up was in the crossroads.
It was at the place with the Husk Guard.
Yeah, the guarded grub.
Yeah, the grub. Which unfortunately,
they're talking.
You can go ahead.
Okay, so Kenorah was talking to Seer to open up this area that we're in now, which the Spirit's Glade. It's a Kickstarter backer area with the basically the ghosts of a lot of bugs that were designed by Kickstarter backers. So thank you to all the folks in this area for helping to make this wonderful game.
But yeah, as I was saying, ins0mnia did go back to Crossroads, but missed both the I believe the dash check and the wings check, which is a bit unfortunate.
Hopefully ins0mnia will, maybe once we get Dream Nail, which would open up 2 different, well, it wouldn't open 2 different Whispering Roots because you need wings to get to one of them, but opens up 1 Whispering Root and a Dream Boss and Forgotten Crossroads, maybe at that point. We'll get those.
Yes.
Let's see.
It'll definitely be nice to see that Dream now. Whenever we do.
It's I feel like when I'm playing Rando, I normally get Dream Nail really early. It's interesting that we're this far in and have not yet found our Dream Nail. I do love the Shade Soul on the skin that Kenorah is running on. In case it isn't obvious, this is not what our player character, the Knight, normally looks like. In either case of what the
I was sure we were an axolotl the whole time. I don't know what you're talking about.
So yeah, so ins0mnia is running with the axolotl skin, and Kenorah is running with a skin that makes you look like Hornet, but also makes everything sparkly and shiny and look like a galaxy. So, very fun.
Flower quest for 85 Geo. I'm sure we will not be seeing that.
Not worth. Sometimes it's rare, but sometimes Grey Mourner has something good, and then it's just, nobody likes that.
For those unaware, the flower quest is where you have to take a flower from this area to an area all the way on the other side of the map, and you cannot get hit once on the way, and you can't fast travel. Meanwhile, I believe that was... Oh, there's a Dream Nail.
There's a Dream Nail.
Speak of the devil. And I was not looking. Was that an intentional death from ins0mnia, or did they just...
I don't know. We'll find out. I think, given where they were, it might be intentional. Although, no, they have claw, so we'll find out. Yeah, so Kenorah picking up Dream Nail from where we would normally find Soul Leader. When ins0mnia was in this area, they didn't have Law yet.
And no, that
was
did
not able to find that check.
That did not look like a shade skip, so that was an actual
Yep, that was
unintentional
just,
death there from Somni.
which, you know, it can happen. Running with 5 masks, things can get a little dangerous.
Kenorah just doing
Kenorah
this
currently-
little arena room and shredding it.
Yeah, having Shade Soul here is very helpful. This is
So they are getting a bit low.
yeah, I mean it's a lot of enemies. You only have 5 masks, and you do have to hit them to get souls. So,
Using
there's
all the
certainly plenty of-
masks that they had, that is optimal strats. Health is a resource, everyone.
Yep, there to be spent.
Yeah, Somni picking up that grub, which I believe Kenorah left that grub to sit there because they don't really need any more. There's no more useful grub checks. So
Yeah.
I don't
We'll
think
probably
Somni has
see-
gone back, so I don't think they remember the exact costs of things.
Which is
Explains
very
why they
fair.
pick that up. It's hard. There's a lot of stuff to remember. You're gonna lose some things. You might
Yeah.
like remember the items at Grubfather, but not remember their costs. It's pretty reasonable. Kenorah picking up a simple key there. But that's a different one from the one we saw Somni pick up earlier.
Picking up some more essence. Very nice. Somni picking up a soul refill for 120. Just
When they were
because,
already
I
at
guess.
almost full soul. Might as well. Now we see, looks like Kenorah is going to Kingdom's Edge, or at least in that direction.
Looks like just was going
Or
there to
just
pick
going
up
for
that
the one
grub.
check.
And is now heading back to Crossroads to... Not entirely sure. We'll find out what Kenorah's strat is here. Is gonna check this dream tree. Because this dream tree gives you more essence, and once Kenorah gets the essence... So dream trees, or whispering roots, normally give you essence, but how it works here is that, so normally all these little red orbs that Kenorah is picking up would be worth 1 essence. In Randomiser, Kenorah picks up all the orbs, and then you don't get essence for them, but you get whatever the reward for the tree is. Of course, in this case, the reward is essence.
But it's a much larger number than this tree would be giving you.
Yeah. The tree would normally give you like a couple dozen. We're going to get 300 from it, which is quite nice. And will allow us
I
to
thought
go
it
to
was
rescue
200.
round.
But-
Well, whichever it is, it's enough to get Shaman
Either
Stone,
way,
which
it's enough. It's
sure what Kenorah is doing.
I'm not sure if they remember where the last bit of it is.
It's it may be the one that's actually up there. Yep.
And that is that. Yeah,
The,
getting the 200 essence.
Somni has headed into Fungal Waste. Still does not have dash, which makes navigating this area hard.
And didn't pick up Tier from Grubfather either. Does get Hidden Station Stag. Considering, they haven't gone back, but there is King's Brands at Grubfather. So the Whispering Root in Ancestral Mound was another Mantis Claw, but we don't need that as we already have one.
Yep. So, Somni also picking up from Leader a King's Idol for 100 to go. Relics are items that you can sell to Relic Seeker Lim. It's like a reverse shop. You give him goods in exchange for money. And King's Idols are worth 800 Geo when you sell them, so picking one up for just 100 is quite good. It'll net you 700.
Kenorah ascending with Gorb.
Always love to see it. And
See what
Gorb
they get
giving
for their efforts. They get a Charm Notch. That's
a
not
Charm
bad.
Notch. Yeah, actually useful.
Orb is always useful.
Yep. I mean, Orb is always fun. I'm not sure I'd go with always useful.
Depends on your definition of useful. Anyway, looks like Kenorah's coming back here now that they have Lumify Lantern. Just clear out the last bit, checks and Howling Cliffs.
Whereas ins0mnia is now headed to Hidden Station. Declined that fragment of a soul vessel for 300, which, given the amount of geo ins0mnia has, I kind of would have expected him to pick that up. Soul vessels just allow you to store a little bit of extra soul. They're not in any sort of way necessary to complete the game, and both of our runners can certainly do just fine without them, but it's always nice to have those sorts of upgrades. So, and this is one of the things that's really nice about Rando is just you're seeing both runners in just completely different parts of the map. ins0mnia, they're just picking up 250 essence, which will be enough to get that Shaman Stone.
Yeah, getting Shaman Stone, especially with already having Shade Soul, we're going to be doing a lot of damage.
Yeah. And you will see that once our runners get Shaman Stone and equip it, they, as well as upgrading the amount of damage that the spell does, it will also make our Shade Soul larger, and increasing that hitbox allows us to get double and even sometimes triple hits on some enemies, which can be quite powerful. A triple hit with a Shade Soul does just as much damage as an Abyss Shriek, the most powerful charm in the game, or most powerful spell in the game.
And that is a lot of damage.
Yeah. For reference, as we talked about earlier, our nail currently does 5, and actually now that we have the Dream Nail and are fighting some Warrior Dreams, Pancake, do you want to talk a bit about why our runners are upgrading the nail?
Yeah, I can go over that real quick. Besides the fact that upgrading the nail is a bit out of the way, there's also the fact that the Warrior Dream fights, their health scales with your nail damage, so that they provide some sort of a challenge no matter what area you're at, except if you have a lot of upgraded spells but no upgraded nail, their health's still at the minimum amount and you're doing a lot of damage, so they die very fast. So not going to see any nail upgrades for a while.
Yeah, that's a strategy that you'll see in any speedrun of the game that requires fighting Warrior Dreams. I mean, you won't see people upgrading their nail in speedruns in general, but when you're fighting Warrior Dreams, it's not just because of the time it takes to upgrade your nail, but also because of the time lost that you would get from ins0mnia doing some dangerous platforming with only 1 health. Of course, more safe when you can just save warp out from there.
Picking up Queen's Garden Stag from that Whispering route. It's gonna potentially be useful. Open up some checks over there.
And the nice thing about picking up Queen's Garden Stag is it allows you to... Kenorah could get to Queen's Gardens because they have Isthmus here, but picking up that stag allows you to enter Queen's Gardens basically from a different direction than you normally would, which means that the sort of the loop that the game normally requires you to do in Queen's Gardens and opening up shortcuts, you can sort of do that in reverse to some degree, which is nice, saves some time.
Yes. And yeah, Kenorah picking up Lurian here. Getting 1/3 of the way to that progression. We've seen a lot of useful things. We have not seen too many of the necessary progression items.
Yeah, we've seen, what, 1 Dreamer and 1 Fragment, right?
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah. The Dreamer at that tree and the Fragment, I believe, is in Waterways.
Yeah, sounds correct. And Kenorah does have a simple key to get into Waterways whenever they want.
So, but it's probably not the first choice on his mind. So, let's see. Soul refill from Zero. Very, very helpful. Thank you, Zero. Looks like because ins0mnia had I believe picked up a stag to get to Waterways, because I think I saw them there earlier before they picked up a key. Instead using their key on Pleasure House to get a couple of checks.
Yeah. And yeah, I seen chat asking about Wraith. Yeah, we do not have Howling Wraiths yet. We currently, both runners have Shade Soul, the upgraded Fireball spell, and Dive, the unupgraded down spell, and no up spell, which, especially as we're seeing Kenorah fighting these warrior dreams, are all basically aerial bosses, and so no up spell is a little bit of a shame.
Yeah, looking a
Kenorah,
bit dicey here versus Marmu, although the bench is right next to it, so it's not the worst
Kenorah
thing to
didn't
die of,
equip
but
their
pull it
Shaman
off.
Stone.
Did they not? That seems
That
like
looked
a
like a
mistake.
normal size Shade Soul. So
Oh, whoa, there is... Oh, apparently Waterways is really nice, because there's Hera.
yeah, so we just picked up another Dreamer from the Royal Waterways there. So both runners now have one Dreamer. ins0mnia doesn't have Dream Nail though, so still doesn't have the ability to get Lorian.
Yeah. We'll see if Kenorah does head down to Waterways to get those very useful checks. ins0mnia fighting Lukewarm.
To go to Waterways. There's not actually that many checks in Waterways, and the place just sucks. So it's, I think, hard to convince yourself that that's where you want to go.
Certainly, yeah.
The alluring god of motherhood there, dying to ins0mnia's nail and spells.
Rewarded with a grub. How nice.
Dream Nail, I'm seeing in chat a question. Dream Nail was located at Soul Eater in the resting grounds, which ins0mnia visited that area fairly early on, but didn't have any mobility that would have allowed them to get to that piece.
Yeah, and that unfortunately puts ins0mnia in a bit of a tricky situation where there's an easy check where they can get a thing, but when there's only one check there, it's not going to be a place you're going to prioritize.
Yeah. Luckily, there are 4 items that will give you Dream Nail scattered around the map. The Dream Nail, it's upgrade the Dream Gate. The upgrade after that, the Awoken Dream Nail, and then a duplicate. So hopefully ins0mnia will see another Dream Nail from somewhere.
Or perhaps they'll go back to Soul Eater, although I think that probably wouldn't be for a while.
Did ins0mnia have 3 simple keys?
ins0mnia have what?
No.
Sorry.
Sorry, ins0mnia was
cookies,
checking ins0mnia was checking the junk pit there. And I was wondering if they had 3 simple keys. They don't, but now they know that the item located in the junk pit is the Shape of Un, and so presumably will not be a priority.
Most likely not. Unless you really like that slug life.
I mean, a 0-cost Shape of Un.
It's good.
I mean, I don't know it would be worth it to come back there.
Probably
it does
not.
take quite a bit of trek to get to the junk pit, but you know, if Shape of Un was 0 notches, there might be more interest in it.
We are heading to Watcher Knights here. Can be a tricky boss with Shade Soul and Shaman, which does Kenorah actually have Shaman Stone on now? They do.
We'll find out.
Should do a lot of
Let's
damage.
see. Kenorah there breaking the chandelier to kill one of the knights.
That looks like normal Shade Soul to me, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think we're still running with normal Shade Soul. And no Shaman Stone.
Hopefully
Yeah,
it's
you could also tell
Kenorah
from the
will-
damage threshold, but
I think
Kenorah is realizing.
they do not have Shaman Stone on.
Kenorah's like, wait, that doesn't look right. In fact,
Either
it does
that
not
or
look
that's
right.
not doing enough damage.
Yeah.
Ooh, somebody
Oh.
taking another death there.
Ooh.
Which I don't believe was intentional.
Probably not. Where was that Somni died?
I don't know exactly. It was some area in Fungal Wastes where it was like claw, the spike
Oh.
platforming.
And somebody had just picked up Grim Child, which I did not notice, focusing on the Water Knight fight. So Grim Child will open up. So we saw Kenorah earlier dream nail a bug in the Howling Cliffs, and that opens up the Grim Truth DLC content, which does lead to a few different checks. And Somni picking up the Grim Child charm will also enable that DLC and make those checks become
Kenorah dying
available.
late into Water Knights. That's unfortunate.
Being
But now they are
punished
going to
for
put
the-
on Shaman Stone.
Yeah, being punished for the lack of Shaman Stone. Ah, there we are. So
It was on
Somni
this path.
presumably died to some platforming, I guess.
Yes.
Is trying to get to. There's a soul totem up here that is.
And they are happy
They're
they
doing
checked
now.
that soul totem.
Work. So okay, this is where Somni died because without wings or dash, getting could have just hit the lever to extend the bridge before going up there, which would have provided a floor to fall on. But because they did not, there's just acid there, and because Somni also hasn't gone back to Grandfather to get that tier, which may be what we're doing right now.
Finally
also
going up here is gonna get wings.
There we go.
See, because we've had a Dreamer pickup, the crossroads are now infected. So the friendly beginning area is now very unfriendly and angry.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite.
But the seed was nice to our runners. We did not get an early infected crossroads, which can very much happen to Rando. You can get a Dreamer in King's Pass before you even get to the crossroads for the first time, which is not
the most fun experience. Yeah, now we're going to see Somni picking up the Ismas and Kingsbrand.
That will give Somni the ability to fall in acid and not die. Always.
And also the ability to go to the Abyss, and they have hidden station stag, so
that would be very easy to go to. Although with I guess we have wings now and claw.
cool.
So yeah, I think Somni should be able to get most of.
No, Kenorah. That's painful.
Alas. Does not have the excuse of not having Shaman Stone on. So
Yeah.
just or just needs to do some more any percent runs, I think. Get in the groove.
I think they've been trying to neglecting the opportunities to heal in order to try to make the fight faster, but a tip to anyone out there, not dying is faster than dying.
Except
when
when
you die on purpose.
Yeah.
This is not one of those times.
Somni picking up some coal to allow them to heal a little bit. Not necessarily necessary in this area, but it's not ever a bad idea to have more
And there's another
health
death.
in Fog Canyon. But sometimes
Fog Canyon's a
not
very
enough health.
explodey bad time.
Yeah, explodey is probably the best adjective to use to describe Fog Canyon. There's a lot that can go wrong in that area. It is. Fog Canyon is a late game area that you can find yourself in very early game because it is one of the ways you can get into Fungal Wastes. You can drop in there from Green Path, which is I think how we saw Kenorah get into a part of Fog Canyon very early
Kenorah,
on.
no! That's
This is just,
incredibly frustrating, I imagine.
yeah.
They got pinned there by Watcher Knights and fortunately not using the iframes to get out of that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, so it is, Kenorah has a lot of mobility, but does not have, I would say, the two things that are the most helpful in making the Watcher Knight fight easier, which is the Descending Dark, the upgraded down spell, and the Shade Cloak, which gives you iframes when you dash, whereas ins0mnia there just picking up another Dreamer from the what would normally be a Charm Notch.
And they have access to Lurien now with Dream Nail, so
Yep.
that's once they take care of that, that is the Dreamer check met for ins0mnia.
Yep. And then it will just be a matter of finding the 2 more pieces of Void Heart, a second White Fragment, and then the upgrade to get you 2 Void Heart.
So that's, in that respect, is looking very good for ins0mnia.
Yeah,
Still,
we
unfortunately,
will,
does not have that dash, but I'll
does
hopefully
make
pick it up
life
soon.
a lot more difficult, I think. He's definitely
Oh,
gonna be
never
one of
mind.
There we go.
I have spoken too soon.
So, talking earlier about the way these progression items work, so you'll see that the interface said that ins0mnia just picked up Shade Cloak. Because they did not have a dash yet, they actually picked up dash. And now that they have a dash, they're moving a little bit too quickly and just ran into an explosion that of their own making. There we go. Kenorah has finally conquered the Watcher Knight.
I really hope this check was worth it.
It's almost certainly not going to be, just because of the amount of effort that went into it.
Yeah,
That's just how rando be.
There's an egg. There's a Wanderer's Journal. Already
Journal.
not looking fantastic here. But
One more
maybe
thing.
Lurien will be good. We can only hope.
We saw the Zooflames happening on ins0mnia's screen. ins0mnia popped into the teacher's archive to grab the bench there really quickly, and that way, if they decide that they need to or want to fight Umu to get the check that would be located at Monument, they can warp there really quickly, or as a way to, get to that part of the map.
Lurien's a Palor, which is potentially okay. Not really what you're looking for.
Yeah.
It's more of a luxury
Palor,
item.
Yeah, Palor are really powerful, but my guess would be that if we see either runner upgrade their nail, it will be right before they head off to Radiance. That would be it.
Most likely. And here ins0mnia's gonna pick up the last streamer they need.
Can I jump in with a donation here?
Yeah,
ahead.
definitely.
Rightio, $20 from Kayla. Chin up, Kenorah. I died this fight 1 million times.
A lot of us have.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate. It is certainly a fight that is not easy in a casual play. And is actually more difficult in most speed runs.
Yes, especially any
We'll
percent. It's incredibly hard.
see if ins0mnia remembers to equip said Shaman Stone.
We'll also see if Kenorah decides to open this waterways, which we know how valuable it is.
Yeah. Kenorah going to talk to Lim and sell all of their items. See their
Ooh,
quality
it looks
of
like
life
they're
thing
ignoring Royal Waterways.
for now.
They do not know that that is a mistake. It probably wouldn't be on most seeds.
Yeah.
But it is a little unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reality of anything that is reliant on RNG, is that things that are smart to do most of the time may not be smart to do this time. And it looks like we actually are seeing Kenorah run to the Nailsmith. So
maybe going to I got that Palor from that fight I spent all that time on. I'm using it
that's reasonable. We mentioned the whole thing with nail scaling and the warrior dreams. The reality is that the warrior dreams are only a few fights throughout the map. We've already fought several of them. So it is totally reasonable to decide, yeah, it may take those fights longer if I need to do more of them, but it will help with just general moving around the map. So that's a very reasonable choice to make, and especially with fragile or unbreakable strength, that will give Kenorah a pretty powerful basic nail attack. We do see ins0mnia back in resting grounds, but looks like it didn't. Oh no, sorry, they were doing two different up exits. So ins0mnia probably here is going to be picking up the
Dreamgate.
Yeah,
Because
what for
they've
Kenorah
got-
will Dreamgate. For ins0mnia will be Dreamgate.
Which having that extra bit of fast travel option is nice.
Yeah, so Dreamgate is a teleport ability that allows you to set a location on your map that you can then teleport to whenever you want. You can have one such location set at a time. So it's very good for making things like backtracking a lot faster. There we have it. There's that Dreamgate. Kenorah, meanwhile, looks to be heading up to the upper west side of the City of Tears, presumably to Soul Sanctum and a few checks that are further over to the west as well.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of that area yet, so could be a lot of interesting checks here. Only one way to find out.
Yeah, there are quite a few checks in Soul Sanctum. You don't normally head to it in a rando until you have Claw and Dive, because most of the checks are inaccessible without those, but obviously we have both of those items. So, and here we see Kenorah is going to be first going into this room with the elegant key to fight the Soul Warrior here and get the item that's normally located, or that is normally Shade. So, having Shade Soul makes the fight that Shade Soul is normally locked behind a lot.
It does indeed.
Whereas over on ins0mnia's screen, you're getting beat up, Pancake.
I have the curse of being associated with Elder Who because he throws pancakes at you. It's the worst. I should have chosen a better name. They're only getting 18 essence for Kenorah, not, especially considering we didn't really see anything else in particular important with that essence. Not really the best.
Yeah. ins0mnia picked up Glowing Womb in reward for fighting Elder Who, so got a little bit of a capacity for a minion build going on here, but probably won't see ins0mnia equipping Glowing Womb because it drains you of your soul, so you can't use it for things like spells or healing, which is a little bit inconvenient.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it is a lot of bit inconvenient.
There's a vanilla grub, a grub where there's supposed to be a grub. Always disappointing.
If only there was code in the rando to make sure every check wasn't the thing it normally is.
I feel like
I
with
wonder-
Georock, that would make life really difficult.
Oh, I feel like it might make logic almost impossible.
And do we have any nail arts? We don't.
I don't
So-
think so. There's no way of getting through that lever skip.
Do you want to go ahead and talk about lever skips to explain what Kenorah was checking there?
Yeah. So, a lot of times the game likes to hide levers behind walls so you unlock a shortcut after you clear a section of the room. But, you can often hit through those walls and just hit the lever with a far-reaching nail attack like a nail art. That is, most have been patched out in current patch, but is one of the many things that the quality of life mod that is enabled puts back into the game.
But unfortunately, we don't have either of those nail arts, so we're not able to utilize that skip, which is a little bit disappointing. ins0mnia now has gone through the first part of Mantis Village, which is where we would normally find the Mantis Claw, our wall climb ability, and is heading down to what I think is the best fight in the game. I'm gonna check this lifeblood first. And there's our last dream nail. Awoken Dream Nail, not actually really that useful in Rando. It enables you to get into the White Palace, which, as we don't have White Palace totems enabled, has exactly one check located in it, and you can
Which
see
I
what that
believe in
item
this
is
feed is
before
a
you
pale
head in.
ore.
Something like that. But I love this Mana Swords fight. Unfortunately, we're not getting to hear the awesome music for it.
Hopefully, Kenorah will also head there at some point.
Kenorah deciding after beating Soul Master and getting a Mass Shard. I'm not sure if that's what brought them to 6 Masters. They always had that. Is now going to fight the
believe
upgraded
it
version
is.
of Soul Master. So getting that 6 Mass Shard might have been part of what made Kenorah decide to do this. Soul Master is not, or Soul Tyrant rather, is not easy.
Certainly
There are
not.
a few different bosses that have sort of an upgraded version that you can access with the Dream Nail. Sort of like how the boss sees themselves, kind of. So
They all have big egos.
Yep. So much harder, faster version of Soul Master here. ins0mnia there just picked up a duplicate of Shade Soul, so got the 300 Geo for that. And that appeared to be the only good pickup as a reward. Well, and oh, sorry, I misspoke. ins0mnia is now also at 6 Mass, having picked up a Mass Shard from the Mana support.
Yes. Which is nice. It's nice to have some padding on the HP. We've seen a lot of deaths, so
Yeah.
that'll help.
Yeah. Having more Masters is definitely. There's a bunch more Essence that we don't really need, and a bunch more Geo that we could need. It's doubtful because I believe the fountain in the abyss that requires 3,000 Geo was a Master Shard, I think. So unlikely that we're going to be prioritizing that.
I have no idea what this strategy is Kenorah is using, but it did not appear to work very well. Taking a lot of hits on that dive phase.
Yeah, presumably was trying to get some damage in during that, but it was not.
Yeah, they were going for down pogo hits, which I have not seen before. Either that or it was misinputs. Oh, and they go for a greedy extra Shade Soul and die because of the lag.
Now the good news is that deaths in dreams against dream bosses don't actually count as a death. It just knocks you out of the dream, but then you can go right back in. You don't have to, do the backtrack and find your shade. That's the word.
But it
Whereas
is a
on
fair bit
ins0mnia's
of
dream,
time loss.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially dying that late in it. ins0mnia has entered into Deep Nest. Did pick up the King Station Stag, which alas is useful. We already had the ability to get there anyways. Has checked everything in that area and is noping out of Deep Nest for the moment at least.
Makes sense.
Once again, you're with having the sound from Kenorah's stream, you're not getting to hear the lovely, creepy Deep Nest noises, but it's another area in the game that is definitely known for its atmosphere, let's say.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Ooh, Kenorah getting saved by that fake dive there.
So I see a question in chat asking about who's ahead. So in terms of mobility and spells, both runners are fairly close, although Kenorah does have the lantern, which I don't believe in yet. And in terms of items needed to complete the true ending, ins0mnia has all 3 dreamers, and Kenorah has 1. And ins0mnia has 1 of the white fragments. And we need 2 more. So currently ins0mnia is definitely, yeah. And so currently Somni is a lot further ahead on progression, but that could obviously easily change at any moment given the way Rando works.
Looks like Kenorah's Pogo Soul Tyrant strategy worked out a bit better that time and getting the kill.
There we go. And that is Soul Tyrant done. And our reward is
A grub.
a grub.
Mm.
Somni having
There
some
we go.
difficulty rescuing Bretta right now. I think he's just trying to go maybe a little too quickly, was trying to do the fast version of this route, and sometimes slow is better.
Yeah, it seems playing it a bit safer on that last attempt, knowing that dying is slow.
Yep. And Somni now immediately warping to Dirtmouth to see what we get from Bretta in exchange for having just rescued her.
Money.
2080 Geo. Not a good reward.
No, certainly not.
Which really, since we have now doomed Bretta to falling in love with Zote, is a reasonable payback for such a cruel fate.
Yeah. I see a duplicate Crystal Heart there. Kenorah getting 300 Geo. Not really. They have a lot of money, so it's not the most necessary at this point. It's not bad.
Both of our runners have money. There's Shade Cloak for Somni, since we
Finally going to
Somni.
check that House Guard.
Somni just picked up that dash that Kenorah has had for most of the game, and that turns it into Shade Cloak for Somni, which is very nice. Opens up some mobility, and is also
just absolutely murdered. There's and gets that dive pickup as well, which they hadn't gotten earlier, getting Descending Dark.
Yeah, so both of those items that Kenorah got really early, Somni has now picked up and gotten the upgrades for them. And we see Somni shaking his head, realizing that he could have gotten both of those very early on. And is now heading into the Crystal Peak.
Yeah, which we have not seen so far, I do not believe.
No, I don't believe we've seen even an ounce yet.
There are plenty of tricks to be had. Could see something useful. Who knows?
There is quite a bit to do in Crystal Peak, and with C-Dash and Dive and Wings and Claw, we'll be able to do all of them. So
Yes, and it's always nice to be able to clear out the entirety of an area in one go. Or opting not to do that trial for the Palor makes sense, because they would need another as well in order to do anything with it. Alright, so let's see what this check is. The elevators, that is a second white fragment. Somni is now just one away from being able to get to the end of the game. That's pretty huge. So unfortunately for Kenorah, has not really been to any of the areas that are rich in the items you need to progress. But yeah, that I'm sure Somni feels very happy about getting that. Kenorah around storms and picking up Howling Wraiths. So there's our first upspell. Howling Wraiths on its own is not particularly useful, but if you can get the second half and get a Bish Shriek, you're going to be doing a lot of damage.
although there are certainly times that having just any amount of upspell can be nice.
Yes, it will be helpful in some points. But it's not really the big damage dealer that you want to see from. And there's a vanilla grub.
And a vanilla grub mimic. all of the grub mimics are vanilla, to be fair.
Kenorah picking up Sharp Shadow, which as of the moment for them is completely useless.
As we do not have a shadow to make sharp.
Here we have ins0mnia going to the deep focus area. Ooh, getting hit there, but doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Pretty easy to damage through that. See Kenorah also now heading into peak,
There's a shopkeeper's key.
located not that far from where the shopkeeper's key normally would be.
Yeah, it's very close. Someone just rearranged some things. And
Someone
that
just
opened up
rearranged some things. The exact description of
Uh,
Rando.
tram pass and some free money.
Yeah, and a few charms. I don't know how ins0mnia's doing on charm notches, so maybe want to grab some of those.
Picking up long nail there.
Long nail
Yeah.
slightly increases the reach of your nail, and ins0mnia just able to immediately to dreamgate back to where they would have dreamgated back to if the shopkeeper's key hadn't been at deep focus. So very nice use of dreamgate there to skip some backtracking.
And here is Crystal Guardian. Very difficult.
Very difficult boss. Does not wake up when you beat him up with spells. So especially when you have Dream Nail, you can just wail on him and he'll die without ever waking up to do damage to you.
It's a bit awake now.
A little bit awake, a little bit angry. I'm not sure ins0mnia grabbed that bench before going to fight Enraged Guardian, which will probably not be a problem, but could be a little bit important.
Kenorah
Not a
getting
problem.
God Tuner. God Tuner does nothing.
Not useful at
Does
all.
not. Kenorah's in
Not a-
Crystallized Mound. Let's see if there's...
Decided to inventory drop in a place that isn't necessarily safe to do that. Ooh, getting beat up by these crystals right now.
Yeah, these crystal hunters. They're jerks.
Yep.
We always hear people talking about primal aspids. People need to talk more about these guys.
Yeah, crystal hunters are quite rude. The nice thing about this area, although we didn't see Kenorah do it, is you can actually kill those that Balder and that hunter with your Shade Soul through the wall. We also saw Kenorah there picking up Quick Slash, which is a really nice charm.
And it only costs
for
2
2 narches.
It's a pretty nice deal.
Yeah.
Like, being very careful here. Low on health.
ins0mnia just picked up Dream Shield for much fewer notches than it normally costs, but I doubt that means we're gonna see them even use it.
And there's Great Slash. So that's our first nail art, I believe.
Yeah.
And we also see Kenorah opting to put on Quick Slash here.
Yep.
Which, considering they have strength and they've upgraded their nail, it's going to be doing a decent portion of damage.
Yep.
And that's a Royal Waterways map for ins0mnia. Not really what you want.
Not useful. And unfortunately, even when Kenorah gets it, it is not going to tell him about all the good things located in the water. So,
yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. I believe this is the white fragment pickup that ins0mnia got.
I believe so. That kid.
Yes,
Kenorah
so that's
is
Kenorah's
their
first white
first-
fragment.
Yeah.
Making some progress. Still needs to make up the progress on those Dreamers. And also is still 1 white fragment behind. But
Yep.
any progress is good.
Kenorah has the ability to get both of the other dreamers that ins0mnia has. It's just a matter of choosing to go to those
Actually
areas.
getting there. Yeah.
Yeah. Waterways has several checks available, so presumably Kenorah will want to head there at some point. The Charm Notch room that the other dreamer was in that ins0mnia got is in a more sparse area of the map. So I'm not sure when Kenorah would decide to get there.
Yeah. And there is
Kenorah doing a
another. There's another dreamer on the map somewhere. We'll see if we see it.
Because we've seen Lurian, Hera, and generic wildcard dreamer.
Yeah, so we don't know where Monomon is.
It is interesting to see both runners in the same area of the map at this late stage.
Yeah, it's not something you see
often
very
not
often.
the case.
Now,
sitting Dreamgate there to go check the grub that we saw ins0mnia check a little bit ago that turns out to be vanilla.
and at the same time, ins0mnia's going to Crystallized Mound where we saw Kenorah earlier, so going to pick up that Quick Slash.
And we saw at the beginning of that Crystallized Mound platforming, ins0mnia shade dash through a Crystal Hunter spike, which shows some of the power of being able to have Shade Cloak. It just, being able to iframe through attacks is obviously quite nice. Or choosing to ignore the Mimic and just go for the real grub.
Going back to Dirt. Oh, I believe because they have Shopkeeper's Key.
Yeah, because we just picked up Shopkeeper's Key.
I'm gonna pick up that Tram Pass. We'll see if they also pick up Long Nail. And getting a Vessel Fragment, which could be useful.
Takes them an extra soul vessel, which is really nice. Yeah, I generally find that when you have the money to spare, there's no reason not to buy things like soul vessels and mask shards, because you never know when you're going to find more, and it certainly never hurts to have that extra.
I think.
Or remembering that they have Dreamgate.
I think also maybe realizing that I don't think they actually did activate Grim when they were in Alanquist.
Oh, I think they I think maybe they dream nailed the bug, but then maybe like save. Oh, didn't hit the lantern. I think they didn't hit the lantern to turn it on.
Whatever it is, it's not there.
Turn it on. It's not a light switch. You don't turn it on.
Ooh. Kenorah opting to actually fight Crystal Guardian instead of hitting the Dream Nail button.
Yeah,
but
I think
with their nail damage, I can sort of understand the logic.
Yeah. Didn't exactly add that much time, so. ins0mnia now heading over to the western side of Fungal Waste, which ins0mnia will be able to pick up Spore Shroom and a grub, or whatever's there, and then probably we will see head into Deep Nest from the top and see what we can find there.
And Kenorah dispatching the enraged Guardian.
Very quickly, having that that nail damage is quite easy. So yeah, ins0mnia now dropping into Deep Nest. Did ins0mnia go up to Hollow Nest Crown at all?
I don't think they did. Oh wow, that's also a vanilla grub. Both Mimic areas had vanilla grubs. That's really funny.
Yeah, that is. Never seen that happen before. Now, if only the randomizer would also randomize the the mimics, so that you
If
never know what you're getting.
That would be fantastic. But I think that would require some other technology.
Yeah, and by
Just-
be clear, by fantastic, we mean first.
Yeah, but in terms of randomizer, I think that does equal fantastic.
Yeah. Somni there picking up Unbreakable Parts, which is for 3 charm notches, 1 more than it normally is, which is just probably not worth it for having those 2 extra mass. Especially now that they have a 6th one above their base 5. Nora now heading up to the top part of Crystal Peak to check Hallownest Crown and the few items that are here. And doing some healing, which is very smart in this area. I've seen a few different 112 runs and poorly in here.
Yeah, this area likes to kill you. As do many places, but this is one of them.
Oh, I missed. So Somni also has Unbreakable Greed. So now has all 3 of the charms from White Eater, which it doesn't get you anything special, but is just interesting to see. Now have all of those.
We'll see if Kenorah is rewarded for heading up to Hallownest Crown.
Nope.
Not really.
Saw me navigating through some tunnels with. If we had audio from Somni's game, through the very loud area that Somni's currently in, but instead we get to watch this very nice platforming, all nice and quiet. Choosing to not shade cloak through the Gome, but instead do a nice little hop up thing. Not sure if they maybe forgot the soul totem was there until partway through that.
And Kenorah is getting value out of that vessel fragment. They picked up 3 in very quick succession, so they now have a second extra soul vessel. Which is nice to see. Egg.
Somni now going back to Crystal Peak and to do Hallownest Crown. Not sure if there was strategy there at all, or if it was just remembered that they meant to do that.
Yeah, it could be like I should go to this area and I'm gonna remember to go now before I forget later.
Yeah. Well, because even they had a dream gate there, as though perhaps that was the plan. So
Yes.
not sure exactly what's going on there. Kenorah cutting a little close, but manages to navigate the lasers on the way to Crystal Heart just fine. Chose to do a sort of vanilla route to Crystal Heart rather than the sort of backtrack version that we saw with Somni.
And picking up that map. Kenorah, it's a sign. Listen to it.
Or presumably heading down to clear out the rest of Crystal Peak here. So once again, we have both runners in the Crystal Peak. Not sure what it is about this area that draws both of them here at the same moment.
And there we see a use of Great Slash to open that chest, although Kenorah still can't access it without going through the thing, so not sure how much value that was.
Well, if Geo had come out of there, right, then we would know that
it's not worth it.
Not worth, but unfortunately. Wow. Not sure how that didn't how that crusher didn't get Kenorah there. But now we know that there might be something there at least.
And it was a mask shard. Well, that's more health. And
Yeah,
Kenorah's
those
taken some
actually
deaths.
filled them out. So
So I think
And
they would like
Somni
somewhere
is
else.
choosing to put on the 3-cost part.
And a 0-cost Grimchild. So I'm thinking maybe they are considering going back. But
Looks like just for the damage, because the interesting thing about Grimchild is that so one of the options that we don't have turned on is Grimkin Flames. So the way the Grimtroop DLC works is you equip this charm, you have this little buddy that follows you around, and then there are flames that you find throughout the map. And as we are entering the Nosk area, we can see the our buddy Nosk, when luring us in, does use the same sprite sheet as the knight, and so will look like whatever skin we have enabled,
which is fantastic.
which is wonderful. Although when they start to transform at the beginning of the fight, that will unfortunately go away. But that as you pick up these flames, go back to talking about Grimchild, as you pick up these flames, Grimchild gets upgraded. We don't have Grimkin Flames enabled, so the Grimchild comes to us already partly upgraded, because we could go fight Troop Master Grim whenever we wanted. So the Grimchild is going to do some amount of damage right now. Not a ton, but not nothing. And at cost 0, free damage is free damage. We see Kenorah heading into Fog Canyon now, from
Fungal
Leg
waste.
Eater. Well,
So they're not going to
I thought they were going to continue to Fog Canyon, but then didn't, which is unfortunate because that Charm Notch room had something good, had a dreamer in it.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. It's always part of luck is not where you go to check, it's also when you go to check it.
Yeah. Or trying to set a dream gate there and wasn't able to because it's a boss arena. There are certain areas of the game that you will not be allowed to hide or to set a dream gate in. Those are mostly boss arenas and elevators, or rooms with elevators. As we all know, there is nothing more powerful than an elevator.
Indeed. Very intimidating.
So, Kenorah now making their way through Fungal Waste. I don't believe that we really saw much good in here when Somni was here earlier.
I don't think there was really anything of note in Fungal Waste.
So Somni now dealing with a arena of these corpse creepers, which are very unpleasant enemies that you kill an enemy, you think it's dead, and then it suddenly comes back to life with more legs than is really reasonable.
Yeah. Not a particular fan of that.
Hey, they're not dirt carvers, so anything that's not a dirt carver is fine.
I think those are worse.
Seeing a 3-cost soul catcher there, so definitely probably not something we're going to see them equipping. Soul catcher gives you a little bit of extra soul when you hit enemies, and normally costs 2. Omni there setting a dream gate, nearly getting hit while doing it, but just managed to time it correctly.
And that's
That's Void Heart.
Somni can now enter the game.
So yeah, Somni is now going to be heading to the Forgotten Crossroads to get the true end of the game. Although
I
it
think
looks like
first
Somni
they're going
is...
to Nailsmith.
Yeah, it looks like Somni's heading to the Nailsmith first to upgrade that nail. It is unlikely that Kenorah is going to be able to find the 2 dreamers and 2 white fragments
2
we
white
need
fragments. It's
in the time it takes Somni to upgrade their nail. So
yeah. Unless Somni really has struggles on this Radiance fight, this is
Yeah.
looking like game set.
Which we did see Kenorah struggling on Watcher Night, and so it is certainly possible. Somni does not have an upspell of any kind, let alone Shriek. So that will make Radiance more difficult, although Somni does have Shade Cloak, so we'll be able to iframe through some of her attacks.
And has
but it
Spark
will,
to get extra HP.
yep. So
We'll see.
I mean, it'll probably be fine, but it won't necessarily be a enjoyable experience at the least.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least has dash and wings, so to go along with that Shade Cloak. So there are certainly much less upgraded ways of fighting Radiance. So Kenorah is Dream getting out of Deep Nest back to the Fungal Wastes.
Unfortunate again because there is an important thing in Deep Nest. And there is
Yeah,
not
although
anything.
not super close to where they are.
It is not super close, but it is closer than they are right now.
That's true. Although right now they're closer to one of the other dreamers, so you know. Somni now yeeting themselves to this area. We'll see if they stop to just see what's at this pickup here. They do, and it's it's Force Room is not bad against Hollow Knight, although I'm not sure.
I'm sure it's
I'm not sure
strongest.
I'd unequip any of those.
Yeah.
Oh
my god, THK is invisible.
THK is invisible, and instead of quitting out of the game, which is what you have to do to make THK be visible again, we are going to see ins0mnia try to fight an invisible THK.
Yes, this is the content we need. Please extend.
And
correct.
So having Grimchild here is interesting because it's providing, I think, some extra information about where THK is.
Yeah, because Grimchild knows. Grimchild can see in the invisible.
Yeah, Grimchild can see into the ethereal plane.
And it's looking like Somni's gonna successfully defeat invisible THK.
Somni's managing it just fine, which is amazing.
Yeah, for those who don't know, sometimes THK is invisible. It's more likely if you have a custom skin on, which we do. So,
but it can happen in just the vanilla game. And yes, this is a glitch. This is very much a glitch. It is. I mean, it is what it is. The boss is invisible. Like, it definitely makes them harder to fight. Luckily, invisible THK does not then mean invisible Radiance. So we should still see a visible actual final boss. If invisible THK meant invisible Radiance, I don't think we would have seen ins0mnia choosing to go for it there.
yeah, you would reset your game.
See here ins0mnia using that Shade Soul to get damage in, which is unfortunately not going to be near as much damage as you would see from Abyss Shriek, but is still a large amount of damage. So that's phases 1 through 3 complete. We'll be moving into phase 4. Have some platforms.
Which is I would say the meat of this fight.
Meanwhile, Kenorah is navigating through the fungal waste on low health. So hopefully not end poorly.
Only taking some damage here.
Yeah. Having to deal with all these attacks. It does have D-Dark as well as Shade Cloak, so.
This fall there has hit points.
And now that we've entered the
climb.
So I'm going to give a flashing lights warning for the very end of this climb, for anyone who has sensitivity there.
Alrighty.
And that is the
Radiant's
Radiant
down.
Speed. So
Uh,
time will be at the end of this little cutscene sort of thing when the last of these pinkish essence particles fade away. And that's time. So ins0mnia will probably be jumping in with us in a moment, and I will talk to ins0mnia for a little bit. We're gonna let this cutscene play out, and it looks like just pinged Kenorah, I think.
Yeah,
That was
is,
1:49:02. That was the time. 1:49:02.
an incredibly fast seed there.
Yeah, that is ridiculously fast for the number of settings we had enabled. Maybe we should have turned GeoRocks on.
Maybe we should have. It happens. We had a similar seed in practice. Getting a lot of mobility options early on, as we said, opens up a lot of checks. And if you happen to check the right things, it means you can end it really quickly.
I don't
So,
know if
yeah,
By the way, we had a donation just come in then from a stand of all people. As promised, he's donated $50 for the invisible THK. Another 50 if Kenorah does the same.
all right. ins0mnia, congratulations. That was.
Thanks. I was feeling alright until the dash and dive in Crossroads that I found like super late. And then I was worried that I was like playing down a dash for most of an hour. And
You were playing down a dash for most of an hour.
That'd do it. Yeah. Yeah.
I get second ins0mnia. Can I get confirmation from chat? Are you able to hear ins0mnia? We're doing some slightly weird things on our settings to make this race work, so I just want to make sure that chat can hear ins0mnia. Yes? Okay,
All right,
great.
Chat
Thank
says
you.
yes.
Alright, perfect.
All right.
Sorry, ins0mnia. I've interrupted you there.
Oh, yeah, so down a dash for most of an hour was interesting. I was, pretty worried. I didn't run into much of anything for a while, and then I ran into Claw, and then I found both wings within, like, 2 checks of each other, which was a bit of a meme. Few stupid deaths, but overall, sort of just in a good rhythm of, like, full clearing areas and stuff, so it sort of let me play to my strengths a bit. So, yeah, how about you, Kenorah? How'd it go for you?
Kenorah's still deafened right now. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
Or is making sure there's not going to be tech issues.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so
so an hour 49, yeah, that's pretty fast for a blackout.
Hey, Kenorah.
The dreamers were all really early. It was basically just those last 2 light fragments.
Oh, for
yeah,
you.
it's really interesting because Kenorah actually had way more mobility and abilities than you had for the first part of the race. But you just happened to grab some of the checks that happened to be dreamers or white fragments early.
Yeah, I kind of just ran into, because it was luring at the Whispering Route, and then there was the generic dreamer, I think somewhere in Green Path, and then Hera was...
Generic Dreamer was at
Waterways Totem, right?
Generic Dreamer was at Charm Notch Fog Canyon.
That's it. And then, Waterways Totem was Hera then, which was... I hate Fluke Mom so much.
I was
so
thinking...
the reason Sten is telling you to keep playing is that ins0mnia got invisible THK, and that was a $50 donation from Sten. So if you also get an invisible THK, there will be another $50 donation. So
fair enough.
Also, we need to fight Mantis Lords.
True.
With music.
Ending in Mantis Lords right before Mantis Lords would have been. Yeah, I went to Fungal Wastes real late, as I mean, obviously stream can see.
But that wasn't the problem. Fungal Waste had pretty much nothing. The big thing was you did not go to Waterways, which had both a Dreamer and a White Fragment.
It's always fucking Waterways. I always save a simple key for it, and
yeah, when you're going to sell the Lem, I was like internally saying, please open Waterways.
Waterways is one of those things where like I hate going there, but it's just so many checks that I can't not.
I was gonna go to Kingdom's Edge next, so like it wasn't even in my plan.
I didn't even touch it.
There was ins0mnia, the White Fragment copy that you did not pick up was at Quick Slash, so going to Kingdom's Edge would have gotten you one.
And Monomon was at Collectors, from what I'm seeing as well.
Yes, which that wasn't happening.
So to explain what we're discussing for folks in chat, the Randomiser mod creates a file in your saves file that, or it creates several of them, but there is a file that tells you where all of the locations in the game are and what's at each of them. So we are consulting that file to be able to say where things were that we didn't end up seeing.
Yeah.
One complaint I have. Oh, you go.
I was because of spoiler log, I had checked it a bit earlier to see, like, try to get an estimate of how long the seed would be, and I was like, and then I saw at the end, I was like, please do not go up the distant tramway and end this super early. But, yeah.
What's it, tramway?
It's
one of the White Fragments.
Yeah, the last one. It's at the Lifeblood there.
What time
like how early
was GG?
1:49.
So we still have time to either do another one or
even the starting items one.
First you got to get these Dreamers so that you can see whether or not THK wants to show his face or not.
You can just spend Black Egg if you want.
You raise a fantastic
otherwise it
point.
could be like 10 minutes kind of thing.
You raise a fantastic point. Yeah, our build kind of went to, like, at least my build, we got a lot of mobility very quickly, and then it was just like damage, and I was like, I don't like the fact that I'm having so much. Oh, well, I mean, I got infinite load. Does that count?
Can't relate on the mobility front. I was walking around with like just Fireball for so long. Really?
I had Shade Soul and I had Shade Soul, Quick Slash. I have to. Sorry for
so that dash and dive that you started with, Kenorah, ins0mnia did not check those until like an hour in. Or later.
Although ins0mnia did get the one copy of dive at
that's
Distant
true.
Village that Kenorah you did not pick up.
We're being told that Infinaload does not count for the $50 donation, so we still have to quit out and see if.
Sorry about green screen.
We have a physical THK or not. ins0mnia, you were saying something, I think, about the seed, or what was some of the.
I hated that we got tier so early. Because I am a fiend for an acid skip, and I wasn't sure if it was progression, so I ended up just having to pick it up.
I also, like, I get overwhelmed when and like we were discussing this earlier in the week, like, when you get everything, invisible THK. Yeah, whoops, I realized that. When you get, like, everything right away, it's so overwhelming as to where to go. And especially in a race, one bad decision can cost you the entire thing. Like, not going to Waterways. Because you're like,
or, like, stranding random checks can always be, like, super punishing as well. So I always try and prioritize, like, peaks, Waterways, Green Path, Fungal, Cliffs. Just because, like, they're all a bajillion checks. But,
we were talking about that when when Kenorah got the Dream Nail at Soul Leader. You had been in Resting Grounds earlier than that, but you didn't have the ability to get to Soul Leader at that point. So because it took so long for either of you to find a Dream Nail, we were talking about if if you were going to go back there to find it, you ended up finding another dream nail before that. But
Yeah, I ended up finding like 3. I sort of
Yeah,
didn't
you got
find
all of
any
your-
for ages, and then it's just like, oh, you want dream nails? Here's like white
Yeah, I
palette
think
sections.
I found all 4 dream nails.
Yeah,
Getting
I
life
split-
lucky
Jeez.
at Mantis Village.
Yeah, that one gave you dupe. All right.
Hmm.
There's THK is dead. Unfortunately, was not invisible.
Unfortunately.
And unfortunately, Kenorah can't fight Radiance because we don't have Void Heart. But so we have a little bit of time left, and by a little bit, I mean a lot of time left. We want to
So-
go again.
Yeah,
Can I
starting
just
items?
say, yeah, I hate how sloppy I was playing Watcher Nights to just get nothing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
is
knew the
not
moment you
good
were
watch
struggling
tonight.
on that, it was going to be nothing.
Yeah.
The Watcher's
Yeah.
Gambit
was-
is always super painful in that
Like,
regard.
but there was also that moment of realization when my
You
fireball
didn't have your Shaman Stone.
my fireball didn't hit them rolling, and I went, that should be bigger. And I opened it to see that I'd never equipped the 1 costing Shaman Stone, and I'm like,
Yeah.
cool. I love all of this.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna go to
So-
quick intermission, but we should be right back after these messages.
Donate.